Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all again. I am here with a very special guest today. Should I just call you Netro, or am I good to call you Paul?
You call me Paul. I mean, my channel is so antiquated. It feels like I feel like I'm not being genuine if I go by Netro.
By Netro.
Artist formerly known as Netro.
Discord mod, formerly known as Netro.
Formerly Discord mod. I was very irresponsible of my.
Listen, I don't even mod my own Discord, so I'm not going to blame anybody else.
I read your recent post, which was hilarious. Who was that one guy? Jack something?
Oh, Jack Batay?
Jack Batay.
Yes.
Bless him. I remember he messaged me. He's like, hey, can you get me unbanned? I'm like, what is this? I forgot I was a mod, pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that sounds like a very Jack thing to do, but
God, he was a hilarious dude.
You were in town.
Yes.
Doing a photo shoot, going to a music festival.
Yes. So
Salt Lake's.
Yeah.
What was the name of the music festival?
Kilby Block Party Music Festival. I had some bands I had to see. Most of all, Beach House. Yeah. Weezer was there. Car Seat Headrest. Many others. You can look up the set list if you're very interested. But
yeah, I saw it on the news. It was a big deal. A lot of people there.
And I'm a diehard Beach House fan. Do you use Spotify at all?
I only do it to listen to my own podcast episodes to make sure there's no problems with them.
Fair enough.
That's about it.
Fair enough. Okay. So when you listen to music on Spotify, they do the year-end recap things. And
I have seen that because we've been sent once in a while, like who are the biggest artists of the year you listen to, and people were sending it that it was us, that they listened to us more than anyone else on Spotify, kind of thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it always makes me feel good when
people
send that
I
over.
bet. I didn't consider that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But so it'll tell you where you lie for some artists. Like, anyways, at the end of the year, it told me I'm in the 0.5% top listener of Beach House.
Oh, wow.
The band. Wow. Which I was like, wow, that's really good. Like, what is that number? And like, they have like usually 15 million monthly listeners. 0.05% is like 75,000. I'm like, oh, that's not that small.
I mean,
yeah, it's
still, that's a big band though. I didn't realize they were.
I know
they were that big.
They've grown exponentially since. So, they never come to Florida because I hate Florida, even though Florida's full of beaches and houses.
That's very weird because there's a lot of people in Florida.
Yeah, figured the money's there,
especially like Miami and Orlando.
I bet it's just a logistics thing with touring because they have to plan it out so carefully and make sure these venues align with where they can go and what's available.
Sure.
So, no hard feelings. They got me up here, which I always wanted to come see Utah because I've only been to the airport here in a layover once.
Yeah.
Looked out the window, saw the mountains. I'm like, I got to come back here sometime.
Yeah,
this is a perfect excuse. This is even better excuse being here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that you and I first started talking online. I mean, it's got to be at least 10 years ago now.
I started watching you in 2015.
Yeah.
So, at least 2016, definitely, because that's when I put out the Terranigma video.
Yes.
And we were definitely talking at that point.
Yeah. So I started with the Final Fantasy series originally on my first YouTube channel, which was Eisen Wilshire III. And I
Not Warrior Aspen?
No, it was before that.
Oh,
it was even before that. So I did it there first, and they did pretty good, and it was growing a little bit, but that's when we started doing the Wari-Alaski stuff, which became Dark Pixel.
Yeah.
And at that point, we decided to make an affiliate channel to the Dark Pixel thing.
That's right.
Which became the Dark Pixel Gaming.
What is your subscriber count at Dark Pixel, the OG?
Well, I think at peak it was around 250,000.
Really? I thought it reached 1 million.
No, it never got.
Oh, okay.
It never even got.
We never got even millions of views.
Oh yeah. We have a video that has like 80 million views on that channel or something like that. The Mario Parkour video. Actually, there's 2 Mario Parkour videos that did really good. The other one has like 20 million, I think.
Those videos, the one with the adults that sound complain like
it's
Fantasy Warzone,
Imaginary
Warzone.
Yeah.
Those crack me up so hard. I love the concept behind that of just like adults complaining and arguing like little children.
Yeah.
It was so like wholesome and funny. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough of that. I remember watching the end. I mean, I watched all of them.
Yeah.
And you had like a cameo with your dad, I think. In one scene,
yes, he was at there,
like
at the
leading
end.
in for like a potential sequel. And I'm like, if that sequel gets filmed, I am on that production. Like, I want to be part of it.
Yeah, it was unfortunate and that was right near the death of that channel. Like, we basically kind of stopped. We did one more big one after that, which was the Star Kart video, and that was doing so well. It was 11 months of production on that one video. And so it was on a trajectory to hit that, somewhere in the ballpark of 20 to 50 million views, which would have basically justified and paid for that 11 months of production.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize this would happen because we didn't understand how it worked. But we made a little change to the title of the video and then the description. And I think for whatever reason that messed with SEO or something like that, or the algorithm.
So would you not be able to
it went from like a straight up sort of trajectory to like dead in like one day, and was like, okay, I think we're done now. I think we're done with this.
But you wouldn't have been able to re-upload it and just fix that issue and see.
I mean, it just would have started over from scratch. But a big part, at least in that time, of how we would go about getting our video shared was a lot of, gaming news websites and things like that, or other media like, movie buff kind of websites. They would share little videos like that. It was very common back then. They don't do it so much anymore. Yeah. So we had like an email list that we would send out the videos, and then they would write articles for them and post the video, and that's how we'd get a ton of people to see them.
It's crazy because like Twitter and Instagram were around then, but the presence that they had for promoting stuff was far less when you put that out.
Yeah, totally different.
Yeah, because all these websites you just mentioned, that's just like I forgot what it was like, but that's
So we would rely on whether it was like IGN or sometimes even like Forbes or even big ones like that would share. They'd have their kind of like little, how don't you call it, their tab that was like their technology tab or entertainment tab or whatever. And they a lot of websites like that with like big viewership would share our videos. So anyway, we wouldn't have been able to get it back off the ground with a re-upload because we would have had relied on them to write another article kind of thing.
I see.
So anyway, when that happened, we were like, okay, I think we're done with this. I had kind of already started the whole Dark Pixel gaming thing. So we kind of jumped onto that and we're like, we're going to go hard on this. We're going to do a Monday upload, a podcast on Wednesdays, and a stream on Fridays.
I remember that.
And that was kind of our schedule at the beginning. We were doing it full time for about 6 or 7 months and just didn't pick up the way we needed it to sustain that. So then Case and Landon go get jobs. I go get a job. Became a lot harder to keep up with it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so my Final Fantasy videos were first on that original channel, which is just mine. Then we started the whole Dark Pixel thing. I migrated them over and continued the series there, and that's when they started to really pick up steam. And probably where you would have seen them for the first time. Yeah. And so anyway, you've been one of the longest standing sort of viewers, supporters of the show.
A ride till the wheels fall off.
So yeah, it's great to have you here and to meet you in person.
Yeah,
we've been chatting and had some pizza and I baked some cookies.
Yeah, it's quite an experience. He makes a mean Heath Bar crunch cookie, very precise.
So it's been a good time, but I wanted to come back and see the set. So here we are.
Yeah.
Decided to sit down and record an episode. Maybe we'll release this on Patreon or something like that. Yeah. Maybe we'll make it public. Who knows? Depends on what this turns out to be.
Whatever you want.
Depends on what it turns out to be.
I just like anything I can do to help the cause.
Hey man, we appreciate you. You sent me a cartridge copy of Terranigma.
Yes, that you cut the audio out on the recording. When you were doing that peel box you had.
Yeah.
And there was like an issue with the audio in that video.
Really?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't remember that. So did I end up not putting that in the video?
You had the footage in the video, but you just said like, okay, so there's an issue with an audio, but you can see on my face here that I was, and it was fine, but I just remember that detail being pretty funny.
I forgot about that. So I was like stoked to have gotten it, but whatever I said live while opening it got lost.
But also, it was a reproduction cart, and I wasn't trying to fool anybody about that because it was like in the North American cartridge, which was never made.
An NTSC version.
Yeah, but it's one that has the fixed, because like most people that play the ROM, they don't realize they're playing the PAL version.
Right.
And it messes with the frame rate where like the sound effects sound off. Yeah. So the cartridge is adjusted with that patch so it plays correctly.
Right.
Anyway, small detail.
No, it's awesome. So I still have it. I've got it all boxed up, and it came in a really nice box. And
it was like, it's totally official. I had got one myself too, and I think this is before you played the game. And
I think I did just like a first look episode where I played the first couple hours or something, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm definitely going to play this someday. Right. But I hadn't actually finished it yet. Mm-hmm. And then you sent that in, and that was right around the time I was like, I should do a retrospective on this or something. You had just done one, I think, on your channel.
We uploaded it the same day, as a matter of fact, I want to say. Oh, I'm almost certain of that.
Really?
Or it was maybe the day after. It was either the same day or the day after I made that video.
That I uploaded mine?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I think it's even... I'm almost certain of that.
Yeah. Well, his is awesome. If you haven't seen his Terranigma video, you gotta go watch it.
You'll wonder why I still don't do it.
But yeah, you were the one who were like hard trying to get me to play that game, and it is now, like one of my absolute favorites of all time. There's another guy on Patreon Discord, Tom W. Who also was really pushing me, and he was one who kind of sat in on my playthrough.
Yes.
When I played it.
Because we did Undertale for your first playthrough of that.
That's right. You were with me on my first play of Undertale. Yeah. Great game. And you just turned me on to a new one. Omori?
Omori.
I had never heard of this.
Yeah.
And you showed it to me, and I was like, holy crap, I can't believe, one, that I've never heard of this, but two, that like this game was made in RPG Maker and probably just by what, like one guy? Or
no, it was definitely a team. The creator of the game, it's an interesting thing because it was started as an art project by an artist that goes by OmoCat. I don't know where she's out of, but I think she was going to start it maybe as a visual novel at first or something, but then it eventually turned into a game. And I can't do the story justice. I know there's a better video on it.
No, he'd made a great video on this too. I just watched it.
It was surface
really good.
level. It was surface, awesome. It was just surface level talking about the experience of playing it and why I think you should. But I didn't know much about the actual creation of it.
Sure.
But I think it had a team of maybe 12 to 15 people. And I think Toby Fox did a guest track on it as well.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
It fits right in with that style of game. It feels like an Undertale kind of vibe.
You could say if someone said it was made by the same company, if it were a company,
sure,
you would believe it.
Yeah,
and it's nearly as funny as well.
It looks awesome. So I definitely need to try that. I might on my next work trip make that kind of my game I travel with or something.
I guess it's about a 20-hour game.
20 hours, not bad.
The ballpark of what you want.
Yes,
it doesn't. It's no fluff as far as I can remember.
That's exactly.
Amazing soundtrack, everything you want out of it.
It's funny though because before I played Terranigma, which you had kind of been pushing for me to play, I had called Chrono Trigger my favorite game of all time. Mm-hmm. Those have now kind of flipped. Mm-hmm. I also haven't played Chrono Trigger in a long time, but you were telling me that the opposite has happened for you.
Chrono Trigger is now flipped for me. I think it's just Chrono Trigger. For whatever reason, and it doesn't take long to get to the part of the game where you're in the 600 AD and you're in the basement of the cathedral or whatever with Frog and Luca. And like once you get there, man, it's just like the game is firing on all cylinders and it doesn't take long to get there. Terranigma, it's a bit of it's amazing from the beginning. It really is. You're doing the cutscenes in the towers and the resurrection of the continents but it's just a little bit of a slow burn to get like firing on all cylinders gameplay wise for me. But obviously I still love it, and it could flip back. They might as well just, it's like an atom, they cycle around each other.
Whichever one you are currently playing or just recently played is probably the favorite one. That's how it is for me with a lot of things.
I haven't played Terranigma through since I made the video, and that was back in 2016.
Have you played Chrono Trigger since then, though?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I think because you played Chrono Trigger
But I started playing it when I knew you guys were going to do the episode. I started going through it, and I got up to about the bird dungeon where you're resurrecting the birds.
Yes.
And I'm still enjoying it. I'm just like, oh, man, this is awesome. But like the amount of excitement I feel compared to me playing Chrono Trigger on the plane over here.
Sure. Not the same. Not the same. Well, we will do Chrono Trigger, I think, probably within the next... it's hard to predict because you never know how long Final Fantasy IX will run, but I'd say probably before the end of the year, we'll probably get around to it. It'll at least be up for vote. We'll see if people pick it.
But. Oh, I think it's going to... Well, you never know. I've been surprised by that vote so many times.
Me too.
But Chrono Trigger, I think it's going to have... Like, the army's going to come out and fight for it.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to be up against.
Yeah. That's a good question. What will I put it up against? Because I know we're going to do FF9, and that's going to be at least the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. Then that'll be right around the time Metal Gear Solid 3's remake comes out.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
We'll probably put that on the next poll to see if people want us to do a podcast on that leading up to the release of Metal Gear Solid Delta, I think it's what it's called.
Yes.
After that will be right around Halloween time, and I might just have to hijack it and say we're doing Eternal Darkness. I don't care what you guys say. We're doing Eternal Darkness. But I would think maybe after that, I'd probably put it on a poll with some other stuff, but I'm trying to think of what else I'd put up there with it.
I will tell.
Like maybe, I don't know, because I don't want to put it up there with like something like Persona or something like that, right? I want to put it with something that's more contemporary to it.
Sure.
But I also don't want to just
fit with Metal Gear Solid in that regard? I mean, you already did Spec Ops the line. Like that would be probably a fair...
Yeah. I mean, we are going to cover Death Stranding, but it's not going to be a podcast series. It's just going to be like a one-off episode. So like we'll have probably talked about Death Stranding and maybe Death Stranding 2 since that's coming out soon. Then we'll get to Metal Gear Solid 3 right after that. And I mean, after that, there's just more Metal Gear, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it. There's definitely a lot of stuff that's been voted on in the past that didn't make it through that people would probably like to see put on there again. So I don't know what it'll be up against, but it'll be something.
Maybe it won't be up against this, but I think it's time.
Okay, well, what do we got? So, you brought a gift.
Maybe it's only a few months ago you had put out the video about trying not to take yourself so seriously. Yes. What you learned from Nier Automata.
Nier Automata, right? Yeah.
And I mean, it struck very hard with me. And as a viewer, and like hardcore amongst the hardcore, as far as all you go. Although I'm not in the Discord.
That's probably a good decision.
But yeah, I mean, not out of a lack of wanting to. It's just work and living these busy days. You can't do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I certainly noticed as a viewer how serious you take yourself, and just like almost every sentence comes out of your mouth, and that's not a bad thing, but and everyone's guilty of it to some degree or another.
Yeah.
Now you might be like an extreme case, but as you've learned that about yourself through that game, and I thought like it's good to it's like a self-love thing, love yourself for your flaws, love yourself through your jank, and you can be full of jank and people can love you. You can fit in. Yeah. And I thought this is a good game. Oh, I blew it that it's a game, whatever. This is a game that embodies that. It's perfect as it is, yet terrible. And it's one we talked about before.
Okay. Let he who was without jank cast the first stone.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have here. I don't even think you realize how much I love this game, dude. Star Wars Rebel Assault. I mean, I'm sure you've seen me talking about this before.
We've talked about it in the past.
Yeah. This, when I was between the ages of, I want to say like 5 to 10, or maybe 11. That's when the N64 came out. My mom got so like sick of how much we played the NES that she did not allow us to have another game console. So like my cousins had a Super Nintendo, kids on the street might have had it. And so once in a while I'd get to play it at other people's houses. We didn't have one. But we had some PC games at home, but they were all educational, like Math Blaster and Reading Blaster and stuff like that. Every once in a while, very rarely and very occasionally, would my mom cave and let us get something like a Star Wars video game on PC. And so Rebel Assault was like my favorite video game for a while because it was the only thing I had that wasn't Math Blaster.
Right. Oh, boy.
And so I freaking love Rebel Assault.
And
I
the
freaking
visuals of this game when it released were top of the line.
Yeah.
It was like... It was made in a time where like 3D graphics was readily available to be made, but home computers did not have the capability of displaying it. So it's the precursor to like Donkey Kong, and maybe it came out around the time Myst did, where they would pre-render it and then cut it out into sprites. So you're basically playing like a sprite-based game that looks three-dimensional.
Yeah.
And I think it has like 10 levels and horrible controls.
Yeah, this is amazing because... I had Rebel Assault 2, the second game, was the one that I had growing up, but I didn't have the first one. But they're both really, really good. I've played it since then, but I didn't own like an actual like physical copy of it. So this will be nice to add. The art on the front is really nice too.
I agree. It's
actually
badass.
really, really cool. It looks like the like a painting from one of the Star Wars novels from that time period.
Yeah, like the book
I'm
covers
I'm actually suspicious of whether or not they got that artist who did like maybe the X-Wing book covers, the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter series, or what was it? It wasn't X-Wing versus, it was just the X-Wing series. But I had a couple of those novels, and they look very similar to this.
It's probably the same dude.
It looks really good.
Oh, it just has a name. I didn't even notice that. It just says by Vincent Lee at the very
Vincent
bottom.
Lee. Vincent Lee. We got to look that up.
Is that the artist or
Let's
is that the programmer?
Vincent Lee. Here he is. He was a game developer. Was a designer, programmer, and project leader on the LucasArts game Star Wars Rebel Assault and its sequel, Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire. So he was the director of the game, is what it looks like.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. And I'm excited. I think I'm going to like turn around and play this tonight.
There's a Steam version.
Yeah, I have it on Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like 1 and 2.
Yeah, and so the really funny story about this, really funny story. So at least in Rebel Assault 2, they have built into the controls, because it's a mouse and keyboard game, they have built into the controls of the mouse a drift to make the game harder. So like you're trying to like fly the Millennium Falcon, I think through level 3 into these really tight spaces, but you're fighting against a purposeful drift
to make it feel like it has momentum.
Yes, and so it is really hard. And there's another level too where you're on like the speeder bikes in the forest or whatever, flying around. And it's there are certain turns, that were really sharp turns, but the drift is fighting you the opposite way. And so you're just like scrolling this thing like as hard as you can to try to get it to not drift. And you know, I got it down because I just played it over and over to where I mastered fighting that drift and never realized on the start screen of the game, you can turn that damn drift off.
I did not know that either.
You can turn it off on the freaking menu. And so like
but for the sequel, what about the first one?
I don't know. I haven't tried it, but I assume it would be similar.
No, what I love, something that's like horribly unfair about the original, but it's like that old game charm. Is, I think it's like the second or third level, you're like having to fight guys on foot and you're like having shootouts with stormtroopers. And then it gets to these parts where it says like you want to take the left path or the right path. Yeah. And if you choose the wrong one, you just get shot to death like in a cutscene and it kills you just for choosing wrong. Like they would never do that. Choose your own
adventure.
Yeah, choose your own adventure. It's just like, hey, left was a bad idea, kid. Never go left.
He's got to memorize which ways are the instant death. What was that game? It was an arcade game that was the same exact way. You're like Dragon Slayer? Dragon Slayer, is that what it's called?
That's like a a QTE game,
yes.
like the first of its kind.
Yes.
I don't know that you would choose something wrong and die. I think it's just if you didn't. Well, I don't know. I never beat it.
Yeah, it's because it was like you died so easily all the time that it was like impossible to get through it. But yeah, this is great. Thank you so much. I love these Rebel Assault games. They're janky, but they're super lovable. They have, of course, the soundtracks, which are just straight from the movies, are amazing. Yeah. You'll have certain levels where you're, in the cockpit of an X-wing. Others where you're on foot, shooting stormtroopers. Others where you're, flying different ships outside of the cockpit, or like I said, the speeder bike levels through the forests and whatnot. They're fantastic. They're fun.
Voice acted cutscenes too for a game this early. I don't know.
Yeah, they filmed them, so they like it's like live action.
That's right.
Films.
That's right.
That they did, and it's it's not phenomenal, but it's certainly way a cut above what you would see in most games at the time, for sure.
I mean, because
they felt like Star Wars canon. Yeah, basically.
It was a weird time back then because PC games. It's like, this was before PlayStation, I want to say. I'm almost certain it was before PlayStation.
Well, it probably says somewhere the year. Does it say the year of its release?
Because Rebel Assault
1993.
2... Yeah, Rebel Assault 2, I remember, was a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
As well as PC.
1993. Wow.
And it was this time where, like, PC games had the potential of looking way better than... either Sega or Super Nintendo. And there wasn't, I know there's like a lot of consoles in Japan that never made it over here, but basically like the PC gamers back then, it's just like there was no competition as far as like what it could produce.
Yeah. So
when you had that was like cutting edge of the cutting edge. And as a little kid, your first impressions are everything.
Yeah.
You're flying an A-wing in a rocky canyon in the third level of this one, and you're like, your mind is blown.
Yeah.
My mind was blown.
Mine was too. You ready for this? Memory requirements, 4 megabytes of RAM.
Wow. Wow.
You need 4 megabytes of RAM to play this, baby. Make sure you got at least 4 megs of RAM.
And a 386. And that's not 386. That is...
CPU 386, 33 megahertz minimum.
That's light speed, man.
Oh my goodness gracious! Graphics 256. Color VGA.
I didn't really, man.
It was a long time ago, dude. 1993. Wow. They've got like MS DOS, stuff written on here.
Wow.
This is still when people used MS DOS.
Because Windows was just bloat on top of it that would slow down games.
Exactly.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so
that means it was before Windows 95 even.
Yes, because it was 1993.
93, so I was 7 years old.
Yeah. This is a relic of the past, and a good one.
Yeah,
I'm excited to jump back into this. I think I will. I'll put some footage from it in this video.
Boy, the deaths.
Yeah. So when did you play this for the first time? Did you play it?
I might have been like 10 years old or something.
So in late 90s, somewhere
yeah,
in
the 90s. Yeah. It was before I remember it was before I got a PlayStation. So it might have been like 94 or something, or maybe it was 93. A friend had a computer. I didn't have a computer. And, I had a Sega Genesis, and I had the neighbor kids with Super Nintendos. One had the computer. Like, you gotta see Rebel Assault. What was Rebel Assault? No, Star Wars? Super Star Wars? No, that one's the best. No, that one's... And then you play that, and you're just like,
oh, yeah.
What is gaming?
Yeah, as far as Star Wars games go, it was kind of a similar thing. It's like, I think I had seen Super Star Wars somewhere, and then I played that, and it was like, that feels like you're in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it feels like you are in scenes from a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It was like a totally different level.
It totally succeeded on capturing the magic for the... standards were different back then, and like the amount of jank that game has, there was nothing to compare it with. So it was just cutting edge in every single way as far as, man, LucasArts used to be like the naughty dogs.
They were dope in this time. Mm-hmm. Dark Forces series, which kind of became Jedi Knight.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And Jedi Knight 2 is my favorite of that series.
Because Jedi Knight was Dark Forces 2.
Yes.
And I remember having that one, and I thought it was so cool when you build the lightsaber and you dismember guys.
Yeah, freaking sweet.
The lighting that, like, you could walk near a wall and the wall would glow. And then, Jedi Knight 2, that was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, such a good game.
I remember playing that demo like 100 times before it came out, just fighting that red Sith clone guy at the end of the stage.
Yeah, Star Wars games were dope. And then, let's see, what else did they do around this time? There's the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter series. Those were good.
Rogue Squadron.
That was Factor 5 who made that one. True. But LucasArts contributed somehow to it.
They were a part of it.
Yeah, but Rogue Squadron was great. So Star Wars games used to be awesome. I have not played anything, I want to say, since... What was that one where you're like the Sith apprentice? Force Unleashed. I had
mixed feelings.
I think I played Force Unleashed 2. That's probably the last Star Wars game that I've played.
Yeah, and I haven't played
in a really long time.
Jedi, whatever
the new one. It's
the one by Infinity Ward.
Jedi Survivor.
Yeah,
I think is what it is.
Where you're like the most photogenic redhead model of a man.
My brother played those. I think he liked them. And then they had the new version of Is it Star Wars Battlefront?
I have played a little bit of that.
They had 2 of those.
Yeah.
And I haven't touched those. And then they had that Outlaws one, which I think was the most recent thing. I haven't
biggest trash fire.
Played that either. They had another one that was more of a space sim one, though, that I was kind of interested in trying. But I never ended up playing it. It was, what was it? Star Wars Hunters? No, that's not it. Squadrons. It came out in 2020. This is the cover for it.
Was that the VR one?
It probably does have a VR version, but this was basically just, it looked like a space sim, kind of like a, fighter type game. And it looked interesting. I wanted to try it, but I never gave a shot.
I never had either.
I won't, at least until I've played this a couple times.
That's...
This is where the real Star Wars
Get ready for the frustration. If you don't make it all the way, I don't blame you.
I'll definitely see if I can shut off.
I'll do it drift. As well. I'll fire it up as well. Just to share the pain.
To go back in time.
It's a good game.
No, they're fantastic, and they're readily available. I think you can get them on GOG, Steam.
It was like $3 on Steam, I think.
Yeah, really cheap. Really, really, really cheap. Super affordable. So if you're lamenting your $80, $100, I think they just announced something was $100. Some new game coming out.
Really?
Was it?
Mario Kart
I think it's
was
that.
80.
I think it's that new Doom. But I think it was the limited edition or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, that's like $100, $70, $80. You can get this freaking gem right here for $3 on Steam.
Yeah.
I see that as the silver lining in the game pricing debacle that's going on right now.
It doesn't bother me.
Is that you just go back in time and there's probably 200 games that are freaking way better than anything coming out this month that you can get for $5 or less somewhere.
I mean, the only games that cost, say, $70 really are the games that are good and maintain that value. It's like $70 for a week, and then it's down to $50. And then Steam Summerfest, you find it for $20.
Unless it's a Nintendo game.
Unless it's a Nintendo game.
Drop them.
Right, yeah. Nintendo obviously takes their time.
I mean, I think you can feel pretty confident that Mario Kart World's going to be a good game.
Yeah, Mario Kart World's going to be a good game. Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm sure it's going to hold its value.
Sure.
But by and large, if it's got Ubisoft's name on it,
don't touch it.
Save your money.
I've heard that the last Assassin's Creed wasn't bad, but that's kind of a low bar for Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, is it better than Ghost of Tsushima? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that.
I liked Ghosts.
I love that game.
I think a lot of people love to hate on it, but I remember you were doing a lot of photography for that because they have the picture mode.
Oh my god!
And you were releasing some really, really dope photos from that.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one, you had one where he was on like the frozen lake. And he was like you probably have it somewhere. And he was like standing looking out at like a building in the distance and the sun was kind of setting behind it or something like that. It looked amazing.
I would literally do that for hours because this was like peak COVID time.
Yeah.
I'm a photographer. Shoots weren't happening. And I found out video games and their camera and their photography modes these days, it's like an infinite camera. You freeze time, you put it wherever you want. You never get that level of control in real life unless you're on the set of a movie.
Yeah. You can change the lighting. You can change the weather. You can change, like, play with filters, different camera lenses, or at least focal lengths.
All the focal length, like, you could get a focal length you could never afford.
Yes.
You know, at the shallow depth of field, you'd have to.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of fun. I did that in Ghost of Tsushima too, and I don't generally tend to play with those too much in games that feature those kind of like photo modes or whatever. Mm-hmm. I know Final Fantasy VII Remake had that, didn't it?
It's terrible. It's the most. I only got one photo. I guess on my.
Oh, that's freaking sweet. See, that's what I'm talking about, dude.
Well, I'll send it to him so I can make it.
This game is so good.
It was, and you could control the weather. You know, you change the time of the day, the clouds. It's just unbelievable the amount of control it gives you.
Yeah.
But no, Final Fantasy VII Remakes, because they put it in the later version, not the initial PS4 version.
Oh.
You can barely move the camera out. You have such limited control. It's an embarrassment. It's so bad.
Jeez.
And it would be the best for it. It's such a shame because it has such great environment, such great set design. The character models look great. But
you can get them doing some pretty insane moves too.
Yeah, so like in the middle of combat,
like right in the middle, some kind of crazy.
Yeah, their combat animations are incredible. Like, God, sky's the limit. You could make like official looking art off of it.
Yeah,
but
great thumbnails for your YouTube videos.
Yeah, I'll give some other shout outs for games with really good ones, at least that I played. I can't speak for all of them. The Spider-Man games by
Insomniac.
Those have all been fantastic. Like God of War was a good one.
Oh, I didn't know God of War had it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Red Dead Redemption 2, they add one in later.
Yeah.
I'm sure GTA 6 couldn't get one. Horizon Zero Dawn had a good one.
Mm.
But Ghost of Tsushima
was the best.
That was my favorite, at least.
I mean, like every environment.
Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah. Every environment in that game, basically that I just anywhere, at any point, I could turn somewhere and there'd be some picturesque landscape, just gorgeous, no matter what time of day. And I just have to stop and look at it,
be a waterfall,
pull out that camera, and try to get some sort of shot of it.
You'd pause the game and you'd be stuck there I'd be stuck there for like 15, 20 minutes, and the scenery, they made it so beautiful with everything on there. It's like you could see a waterfall and you could just see Rue from Street Fighter practicing Shoryukens in it, off in the distance. Shout out for anybody who knows her.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a mod out there now that it's on PC.
Oh, definitely.
That would have a fixed camera like mod for the game. Because I feel like that game would be a perfect game for fixed cameras for this exact reason.
Yeah,
it would be like just create amazing. Well, it's open world. It's kind of impossible to do, but
it's certainly possible because there's I think it's called like frame.io or framed, and it's a screenshot, is in-game screenshot community.
Oh,
and there's a lot of people that do modding within there where like they'll take Cyberpunk and they'll allow it so you can add lights to it, like custom lighting around your character, so you can give a hair light, you can diffuse it.
Oh, that's freaking sweet.
Oh, that reminds me, though. Actually, okay, the only thing that comes... I'll say it ties Ghost of Tsushima now, as far as how good it is for in-game photography, is Stellar Blade.
Oh.
The most fan service game in humanity.
Of all time.
But, like, if you want to become a fashion photographer and you want to practice lighting on a model...
Yeah.
It has everything. Like, you can set up not everything, but it's very capable. You can set up 3 lights.
Wow.
Position them in 3D space. There's a lot of preset poses. Obviously, they gave her like the hugest wardrobe to like switch between. You can turn off the lighting for the scene, the set, or like the world lighting. You can turn that off. You can turn it up.
That's crazy,
unbelievable. So that was actually my most recent venture into there, and I'll send you
pictures.
Send you for sure. That, but it's
that almost makes me feel like that should be a feature in like all games of this kind now, especially the lighting part of it. Because I mean, that's, if you ever wanted to get into video or photography, it'd be a great way to practice. I wish I had something like that as a tool to play around with as a kid, to kind of learn 3-point lighting and Learn about what a key light is versus a fill versus a backlight, and position them like this. Use these colors.
Yeah.
Use this Kelvin balance in this situation or whatever. Right. A lot of stuff that this could have gone straight into our episode on how kids should play games because it teaches you real world skills.
Oh, no kidding.
This is exactly the kind of thing that would carry over into a real world skill.
It really does.
So yeah, I'm always a big fan of when they have nice photo modes in games like that.
Yeah, it is impressive. And it made me, like, after I started doing the screenshot stuff, I took some 3D courses in college where I learned on like 3ds Max, but it actually drove me to start learning Blender again. And I got a good ways into it before I'm just like, like how complicated animating and
it's tough.
Texturing.
It's tough.
The amount of variables and tools in those programs is just so staggering.
Yeah. It's why they have so many different specializations.
Yes.
They have someone who just rigs.
Yeah.
And they have someone who just models, and someone who just textures, and someone who just animates. It's like there's so many specializations within the whole sort of landscape of CGI modeling and animating that, because it's just a ton of work. It's so much work.
It is.
I remember there was a short film we wanted to do, a science fiction that I had written, and I was trying to model like the ship that the guy lived on. And like I built, if I were to go back and pull up the files, like it was a fairly elaborate model. Like it was really coming together. It looked pretty cool. But, I had been working on it for like 2 months, and it still was nowhere near where it would have needed to be a convincing looking science fiction spaceship for like a film, And it's like, dude, like it's taken me too long. I got other stuff I got to do. I kind of stopped working on it, and I forgot everything.
And you have to keep up with that stuff.
Yeah,
it will go away.
Yeah, I was using 3ds Max at the time. I think if I were to jump back into it now, Blender has come a long way since then.
Yeah, Blender it nearly has everything you want, unless you're working for like an official movie pipeline where they need something to be there.
Right.
I mean, any tool is as good as the artist, really.
Right.
So,
but they just had that film, that foreign film. I think it was a French film that won an Academy Award.
Oh, the cat.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
Flow. It's a really good movie. Entire movie was done in Blender. I was like, what? Like that came up in the credits, and I was just like, are you kidding me, dude?
They deserve that accolade. They certainly did. I'm glad somebody took it upon themselves to make that their workflow. Yeah,
and I think it was only like a crew I think of like 50 people or maybe 35 people, something in that range that worked on the movie.
And 50 people the people not in the industry, 50 people may sound like a lot.
Oh, it's not a lot at all.
But when you understand the details of what goes into that, like those people had to have whips at their back to get that done. Yeah,
and wearing multiple hats and doing a lot of things. It's a very impressive film. I liked it quite a bit. It's basically just, a lot of it kind of left up for interpretation. There's no dialogue in the movie. It's just animals kind of like trying to survive in this big flood that happens in their area. Wow. And they kind of end up on a little boat and they're trying to just survive, So it's really great, though. It's a really, really good film.
Yeah, it won an Academy Award, right?
Yes. I think it was at least Best Animated Film. I don't know what else it was nominated for, but
that's usually what it would get.
Yeah.
If it beat Pixar, that's hard to do. And Ghibli, they're always up there.
Yeah, it's that good. It's really, really, really cool movie. If you're into Journey, the game, it feels a little bit like that.
Oh.
Has a real similar kind of vibe to it in certain regards. But it's awesome. Did you ever play it's the one for the N64.
Oh,
Shadows of the Empire.
Of course.
Yeah.
I would play that. I mean, it was kind of, I would say that felt like the real successor to that after Rebel Assault
I think
2.
that's true. Yeah.
Because it was like, Star Wars is not just a space combat fantasy. It's like the gunfights. It's so many things they have to capture. So that game has like the multiple, very different levels. And, I remember when the first level where you're taking down the walkers with those speeders, I mean, like, that was so mind-blowing. It's just like, man, we're in the movie. Like, this Luke's talking to me, you know.
That is actually really funny. I've never thought of it that way. Outside of Rebel Assault, that's the only Star Wars game I've played that had you kind of in those different, like, design, like, level types.
Yeah.
You have, one level where you're running around the ground, like, shooting guys. You have another where you're doing, like you said, you're taking out the walkers. They have another one where it's an on rails while you're flying through space and you're just shooting TIE fighters as they're coming at you.
I think there's a speeder chase level.
Yeah, there is. And then there's another one where you take down the big space station thing.
Oh,
at the
yeah, where
very
you're
end.
like flying,
like
kind of like
inside.
a Death Star approach
yeah,
type of
like
thing.
a Death Star E level where you fly inside and take out the core and blow it up.
It was incredible.
Yeah, so it has those kind of varied level types, and it kind of goes back and forth between them. It's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I wonder what...
Yeah,
it's the question of what their inspiration was. I guess they had to be that on
It's
something.
the only game I can think of that is close to what this was.
Right.
That's probably why I liked it as much as I did.
what was... I remember a unique feature of it is on the levels that you're on foot, they had these like cinematic camera mode. And I don't know. I don't know if the N64 had it, but I know it had it for computer, where it would basically pre-position the camera almost like in Resident Evil.
Yes.
Except way worse done.
Yes.
So like your guy would be like maybe 50 to 100 feet away from the camera.
Yes.
But like I would remember the level so well that I would like go through and play through the game and shoot the guys, knowing where to turn at some parts, all through that mode. And I'm just like, I am living this movie. I am Dash Rendar.
That's because there was a couple of different camera modes because you had your first person mode.
That's right.
But then you had a first person mode where it kind of removed like any HUD elements.
Right.
And it was just kind of just blank, so you didn't even see the gun or anything.
Yeah, it was like Gran Turismo.
Yeah, and then there was one where it was kind of behind Dash, kind of third person.
Right.
And then there was that one where it became essentially fixed angles with tank controls.
Yeah.
And you would just kind of run past the camera, and then the camera would
run
reset.
off a cliff.
Yeah, camera would reset a little further down, and you'd kind of just keep pushing the camera almost. I never played it that way because it was a lot harder.
Oh, it was like impossible until you had nothing else. Your parents were only buying you games. We weren't spoiled for choice.
Yeah.
It was a better time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that one was good. And then Rogue Squadron was the other one that was good on the N64.
Pod racing game was amazing.
That was another one. That was the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
The Star Wars Pod Racer.
Yeah.
And then they had the Naboo Fighter, but I never played that one. Was that Factor 5 as well? I think it might have been.
I basically forgot all about that one. So
yeah, I didn't play it much, but I wanted to.
Did you play the Episode 1 Phantom Menace one?
Yes.
Where
that was PlayStation, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was computer as well.
Oh.
But yeah, you could actually like knock back the lasers for the first time by swinging your lightsaber in.
Deflect.
And that feature alone just had me in love.
Yeah.
Like the first level, I'd replay it over and over. But then it had like these almost like King's Quest style levels mixed in where you had to like find an item, talk to this guy, and like navigate. It was very varied gameplay.
Yeah.
There was a level of exploration that they just don't do these days.
Yeah, my cousin had that one because he had a PlayStation. We didn't. We had an N64. And I remember I went to his house one time and he had Phantom Menace on. And that first level is in that sort of like space station from the first movie where they try to like poison them or whatever with the guys. And yeah, you were like deflecting the lasers back at the guys and killing all the droids. I thought it was the dopest thing. I thought it was so much fun. And then I think the second level was with Jar Jar and you're like running away from some tank or like some kind of monster in the forest or something like that.
There's also a level that takes place like inside Jar Jar's home colony, I guess you call it, their underwater thing.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, I think you can basically like kill all the Gungans. Like you don't have to kill them, but I think you can. Like it's just it wasn't so black and white back then. You know?
That's hilarious.
Or maybe they did it just because they knew the fans would want to.
I barely played that one, but I did like it a lot. And I think they ended up doing a Star Wars Lego game that essentially had the same level, that opening of the battle inside the battleship or the big space station or whatever.
I've never played any of the Star Wars Lego games.
They're pretty cool. All the Lego games are pretty well done. They're pretty fun. Obviously very easy. They're for kids or whatever, but they're well made. But yeah, I kind of stopped playing Star Wars games right around the time like the 360 PlayStation 3 era came around, and right after what was the one I just said I played? Jedi, The Force Unleashed.
Mm.
Right after that, I was kind of done with it. They weren't good anymore. It wasn't like it used to be.
It fell off. The inspiration wasn't there. That does remind me though about Jedi Knight 2, how you could enter the console commands.
Yes.
And spawn enemies.
Yes.
You ever do like a big war of like Jedi and so it's just
oh
like
yeah.
and it crash your computer at some point.
All the time.
Yeah. I would like compare like how strong each character is because they had like generic NPCs for Jedis, and then they had like a higher rank one, and then the highest rank one would be like Luke Skywalker. So, and I forget the villain in there. He's like this dinosaur looking lizard dude.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, his name was, what was his name? Gosh dang it. He looked cool though.
He had a good voice.
Yeah. Oh man, he wasn't a Sith, was he? Was he Darth something or other? I don't think so. I can't remember his name right now. Anyway, he was cool.
But you could basically spawn like one of him and like 10 generic,
like
Jedis, and he would kill them all.
Just mess them up.
And it was the coolest thing because and I'm watching like Dragon Ball Z at the time, so I'm thinking of like power levels. I'm just like, man, how many could he take on? How many Siths can Luke Skywalker take on? He'd take them on. They just fight like hell.
That reminds me of like the Total War. I don't know if they still do it in Total War. There might be another engine that they do it in now, where they'll do 10,000 British royal troops against like 100 T-Rexes or something.
Yeah.
And they'll just run them into each other and like see who wins.
Oh man,
I see those videos all the time in my feed.
That is my cup of tea.
Oh my gosh, I really wanted to get into Shogun 2, Total War. And I played it a little bit, but this was a long time ago. It's a very complex game. But there's two genres that I have always wanted to like really dive into. And that is RTS games like that. Mm-hmm. And like really hardcore ones. Mm-hmm. And then space sims and flight simulators. Mm-hmm. Those are two genres like that somewhere in here, I just have this itch to like get into those and master them. Yeah. But I'm forever trapped because of my YouTube channel in RPGs. I'm like never not going to be playing an RPG at some point in my life. Whether it's Final Fantasy or whatever else that we're covering on the podcast. I'm not necessarily lamenting that. I love RPGs. I always will.
Yeah.
But it just leaves very little time. Because like with this setup, what I wanted to do with this was essentially get like a flight stick and like go all in on like a flight simulator, or whether it's No Man's Sky or Elite Dangerous, or there's a bunch of them out there that I want to try out. But I wanted it to set up to where like the three panel setup, right?
I guess you're checked out that Flat Out Sim Racing place. Have you ever heard of that?
No, what's that?
It's a place where it's like a racing place. And I went there because somebody told me about it, but like they were having like special guests in there.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I've seen the building downtown.
It's near Walmart.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It has like
big glass windows. It's not very tall, but basically they have maybe even more curved than what you got. But basically like that with a racing wheel, and I don't know what game they're playing on it, but
yeah,
you see these guys just sitting there like totally in the zone. I'm just like, man, that looks fun, but
yeah.
And I think you pay for an hour. Well, you got it, so you don't need them. But
yeah,
I was wondering if you had seen that, and then maybe that.
No, I had the itch really, really bad about a year ago, which is when this got set up and we started doing the podcast in here. I think maybe a little over a year ago, but in any case, I was like, okay, I'm going to get into this. I'm really going to get into this. And then I looked at the price on the flight sticks, and I was like really researching it, and I wanted to go all in. So it was going to be like a $700 investment for like an absolutely amazing like flight simulation, with the throttle that could double as a second stick, and then this one, and there's like all this cool stuff you can do. So I was like, okay, I'm going to save up for that. And yeah, that just never happened.
Pretty sure you could get a decent Logitech to do the job.
It's just so much money. But anyway, I still really want to do it. But now I'm thinking VR might be a cool way to do that
I think
instead.
So I have it. It's just I felt such a deal with that.
Yeah.
Like
my nephew has a Meta Quest 2.
Same.
And so I was looking at that, and I played a couple games on there with him, and even my wife played like Beat Saber a little bit, and she thought it was really cool. And if she thinks it's cool, that gives me a little bit more room to be like, oh, maybe we can buy a Meta Quest.
Did you try Half-Life Alyx?
I haven't played that yet.
I had tried that, and it's just like that old man laziness where it's just like it's not familiar enough. Yeah. It was incredible. Yeah. Like, I mean, it really is cool. Besides bumping into your furniture and, you know, like shooting the head crab guys. I mean, it looks amazing. The sound and the atmosphere. It felt like a real genuine, like, level up of an experience.
Yeah.
But, like, even as cool as it was, it's just like, did I ever feel like sitting down and diving into that again? Like, no, I'm just going to play something for the 100th time instead.
Yeah, I felt pretty convinced that a Meta Quest would be worth the investment, maybe like the Meta Quest 3 or something like that. But again, it's just like at what point do I go justify buying that when, you know, things are tough, the economy's, I mean, everything's expensive now.
Yeah.
And so it's like just kind of waiting for that time when it'll be kind of like, okay, I feel like it's justified to go do that. But one of these days I'm going to get into Space Sims because that, even more so than RPGs, my first love was Star Wars video games.
Right.
Because before playing games like this, I would go in my basement with a little cardboard box. I would bust out the chairs and I would turn all the lights out. I'd have some glow-in-the-dark stickers I'd put on the walls to look like stars. Man. And I would just sit there in the box and pretend like I was flying a Y-Wing or whatever. And so it wasn't until stuff like this started coming out that I felt like
box away.
I didn't have to do that anymore, right? It was almost like the real thing. And so I've always had just kind of like a love and an affinity for space sims and like fighter flight sim kind of things. But I kind of got away from it when, you know, we got home consoles again, and then, you know, RPGs started kind of becoming my thing. And then I started making videos about it, and I just have never had the chance to really go back and make time for the space sim stuff, but I really want to.
Did you play any No Man's Sky?
I have not, and I really want to.
Well, it's a good thing that you waited.
Because it's gotten better.
Yeah, all of us who played it, the initial thing, and just like this game is an eggshell of an experience.
Yeah.
But now it's been, you know,
updated,
fully loaded like 20 times over.
Yeah.
And I haven't played it again since, but that's a VR title. I remember when I first did play it, though, I loved it. I mean, the music in it's got a good soundtrack. You know, it felt very, you know, vast and cool. But then when you start seeing the same things over and over again, it's like, okay.
It starts repeating too much.
If that's not an issue anymore with everything they've added, including like the multiplayer and all that.
And it's all procedurally generated pretty much, right? So it's like...
I guess so, but it's procedurally generated in the same way for everybody. So like everyone can go to that planet.
So the planet still exists for everyone, but maybe you'll encounter different stuff there or something like that.
I think it should be the same stuff there. Like I think... I don't play this enough to... My understanding is if someone went to this planet and built a base, you went there, you would see it.
Okay.
That's what I...
Okay.
Unless they have like private modes. I'm no expert.
But yeah, isn't it kind of like the idea of it is it's essentially infinite worlds. Like you could...
Nearly.
It will generate
It'll
another
exhaust...
world.
What I think... I don't think it's an infinite... I think it has some just ridiculous, like quintillion number of planets or something. So, I mean, infinite as far as your lifespan is concerned, but I don't think truly infinite. But then again, with every update, I think it has modified like the geography on the planets, and maybe they got more bodies of water or mountains or something now.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I had it's not even a game; it's just an engine, but it's available on Steam. It's called Space Engine. I've had a ton of fun in that. Just messing around in there is so much fun for me. When we did our episodes on Mass Effect, I did some displays on that had moving stars, and I recorded those in Space Engine. So I basically did 3 passes at the same speed from the same starting point to the same ending point, and pointed the camera in 3 directions so that they would go on each of those displays, and then just let it run, and then just hit record for an hour.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And then sort of synced them up together. So
play
it was
the
like,
Galaxy map music from Mass Effect while you do it.
and just kind of let that roll in the background while I went and did something else. But that's how I set those up. Because I was originally thinking, okay, how do I want to put this? I started in After Effects and did some kind of like, star sort of projections or whatever. But none of them looked all that convincing. It kind of looked like the stars were popping out of nowhere. And obviously they're being generated by fractal noise or whatever effect I was using. And so I was like, this isn't really working. There's got to be some other way I can make this look better. And that's when I discovered Space Engine. And like, I didn't stop playing that for like 2 weeks straight. And there's not even a goal. There's nothing to do in it.
Sometimes
it's just space is so awesome. It's so fascinating.
It is, but the capability it gives you. I mean, that's usually what makes a new game enticing anyways, is that it lets you experience something in a new way, where every game that comes out now is basically just borrowed ideas fused together in some new method, but something like that, like that's genuinely new.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, of course, like that's going to hook at you rather than something you played 100 times in some other form.
And I'm guessing if it's an engine that people could probably use it to develop something in, right? I mean, if you wanted to make a space sim, or if you wanted to,
I guess so.
I'm sure that it would be available for licensing.
I don't know what
be my guess, but
is it like a proprietary engine, or
I have no idea. I just know it's called Space Engine, and it feels like an engine in which you could develop if you wanted to. But I don't know if that's what it is, or if that's just the naming of the game. But it's freaking awesome. I really, really like it. I did a couple streams for like Patreon and stuff like that, where I was just messing around in Space Engine because I couldn't put it down. It was just fun. But I think No Man's Sky will probably be the first one that I get into. I tried downloading Elite Dangerous, I want to say 3 weeks ago. And I had it installed. I was ready to start, and it just will not recognize my controller. Like I've tried different controllers. I've tried going through the settings and doing the enable or disable Steam controller thing. I've done all the things that have been suggested, aside from completely uninstalling Steam and reinstalling the game again. And because I didn't want to lose whatever progress I had in whatever game I was playing, probably Expedition 33 or something. And now I probably could, because I'm in between games at this point. But anyway, I couldn't get the freaking controller to work. Otherwise, I'd be playing that right now.
That seems like a large oversight.
Yeah, and I don't know, because other people, they said just plug and play for me. Plug my controller and it works.
But only that one?
So I did this one, and then I did my PlayStation 5 controller, and I tried my PlayStation 4 controller as well. Nothing freaking, it won't recognize it. It won't recognize, even though it's working in other games. So I'll play something else, controller's working just fine. I'll go into the testing, and it's like, okay, it's recognizing all the buttons in Steam.
Right.
And then I launch the game, and it just does not recognize a controller. So I don't know what's going on, other than uninstalling Steam and reinstalling it, which maybe I can do and give it another shot. But
I feel
it's
like
almost not worth it.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it would be, because you don't even know that it might be for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So probably No Man's Sky will be the one I get into next.
I never played Elite Dangerous, so I can't speak on it, but
it looks sweet. I know it's primarily kind of a multiplayer thing. You're kind of online with other players, but it just looks really cool. I have messed around a little bit with that other one that's been in freaking development for
Star Citizen.
Yes, for like 15 years, and it will never be done.
That's crazy. I was in college still when I first heard about it.
Yeah.
So that would have been like 2013.
Yes.
And
yes,
I remember I was like, oh man, I want to buy into this.
Yes.
And then I found out my computer was like too slow to run it. I'm like, okay, maybe later. I'm glad I held off.
Yeah. Because it's still not a game yet.
Yeah.
He keeps adding stuff to the game, but it's like it's never going to have like
it was
a
supposed
release.
to, like, I remember it was because they were talking about that before PS4 came out even.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is going to be on PS4. And now it's like, I don't even know if PS4 could run it.
No.
So
it's crazy. And I mean, I say it's not a game. Like, there's obviously a lot of stuff to do in it because they've been working on it for that long. Like, there was a a buddy that I had back when I lived in like Provo, and he had it set up to where he had the little sensor on a hat that he would wear, and he would turn his head, and he had the 3 monitors set up, and it would like turn with him like a camera that would read his face and stuff. I know they even have a thing where it can read your face, and I think you can put like a model of your face into the game.
Oh man!
And when you speak, your character will kind of move their mouth and speak, and it'll like. A microphone.
Why don't they just release the game and just
say
like?
No.
I mean, because there's so many games as a live service where they just continue to update it, subscription based, and they make their money.
Yeah.
Like, could it not survive off that model?
I don't know.
I'm guessing it's well past, 6 figures in the millions.
Yeah. After 10 plus years of development, I'm not sure. What hype there is left for the thing, it's kind of, I don't even know who's playing it, but it was kind of cool, like just messing around in the same way as Space Engine, but it's certainly not, it doesn't feel like a polished, like final product, at least last time I played it, which was admittedly kind of a long time ago.
How's the guy still getting money for that thing?
I don't know, because it was a Kickstarter campaign.
He must be the most convincing, charismatic guy.
Don't know, dude.
Robert something space, whatever.
What was his original game, which was an old computer similar
I didn't know about this
genre, Space Command or something like that. I think is what it was called. Yeah, so he was a legendary developer who had made Space Command.
Oh, so he had a reputation.
That's why he was as successful as he was.
That game must have been really mind-blowing. I mean,
I think it was. I never played it.
He's made more money in funding for this game than he made money for his original game.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. But, maybe it'd be cool to try that out again too, see how far it's come. I do know that it was the kind of game where you could seamlessly come from space down onto a planet and land, and there was no like loading or anything like that. So that was kind of like a big deal at the time. I think you can do that in No Man's Sky, though.
You definitely can.
But those planets aren't as big, I don't think.
They're big enough.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big enough, but the difference between them was very, minuscule, at least when I played. But this just got me thinking of a game that I only ever dip my toes in because I'm not an MMO guy, but EVE Online.
Yes.
And I remember the game, I just remember really liking the soundtrack and the design of it, but and watching your ship go from light speed from system to system, and just like, oh, that's so cool. I feel like I could lose myself in this game. Mm-hmm. It's just MMOs.
Yep. Not for me.
I can't do it.
Not for me.
I can't do it.
I'm not an MMO guy. I never will be. I've tried a few.
I tried.
Nothing's going to change my mind, man. I'm not into it.
It's too slow. The anime, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't click for me.
No, there's definitely something deliberate in the design of MMOs. Mm-hmm. This is not a critique, right? Obviously, people love them and validated for feeling that way. But there's definitely something to the way they're designed to make things, I feel like, artificially take longer than they would in a single player offline game, because they need to keep you around long term on a subscription as part of their monetary, business model.
Yeah.
And so, there's just a certain point where in order to finish this quest, you have to go do some tedious thing 500 times. And just by default, that's going to take you a couple of different play sessions sitting down.
Right.
Whereas that same quest, if it were designed in a single player RPG, would be a 10 or 20 minute thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that in and of itself is the reason why MMOs don't work for me, because I can see that sort of artificial padding in everything in the design. And it's just like, dude, I don't want to waste my time on that. Like, fill the world with interesting content that is well paced, and make the appeal to staying online the interaction with the other people, doing other types of things. But don't like make your quest lines and things like that filled with this sort of artificial padding that is boring and tedious. Make that stuff nice and sharp, and then have this sort of evergreen or ongoing PvP or other types of content interaction with other players, raids, whatever you want to call it, chances at, really high level loot or something like that, be the parts you come back for. But for those who want to have the single player experience of Final Fantasy 11, like, come on, man. Like,
I never could try it. Right. I never tried 11. I tried 14. I got as far as talking to the second NPC. All MMOs, they put you in one area. There's like 20 people standing on each other's heads because it's like so crowded. And then you go talk to one NPC and it's just, oh, yes. Except this, and it's like, as soon as I see that dialogue box with like 20 lines of thing and then what you get as rewards, my eyes just start glassing over. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't do it. And I get a little ways in and it's just like,
I finally made it all the way through to the end of A Realm Reborn. So like the first Final Fantasy 14
you made it.
Story. I got to the end of that. It was hard. Like there's some like serious freaking like bullcrap questing in that. Particularly because so you have like the main part of the story, which kind of comes to an end. And then there's like patch content that connects A Realm Reborn into the first expansion, which is Heaven's Ward. And that patch content, just like the in-between, the bridge between one to the expansion, is some of the worst video game content I have ever encountered. It is so bad.
And that's one of the most popular MMOs has ever come out.
I know. And even before that, I mean, there's some quests just in the main A Realm Reborn storyline that are just like, dude, why does it have to be so tedious and so long? Like, it's just crazy. And so, anyway, I do think there's some stuff in there that's pretty good. Like, the end of the story of the patch content leading into Heaven's Ward is really compelling. There's some really cool scenes that happen there that is like, whoa, that was like, did not see that coming. That was intense. Nice. That was cool. So there's some reward to it. I mean, there have to be for this many people to be willing to torture themselves to play it.
They can't all be crazy.
But certainly there's just so much of it that I just don't enjoy. I want to say just in the Realm Reborn footage that I recorded, something like 200 hours worth of playing time on the game for part one of what I think, they got Heaven's Ward, Shadowbringers, Stormblood, Endwalker, and now that last one that just came out. 5 more on top of it.
Wow.
Now, from what I hear, the expansion stories are not as long as A Realm Reborn is. So if you spent 100 hours on A Realm Reborn, then these might be something more like 40 or 50. So
it's still long.
But it's still really long.
Yeah.
And so I assume that at some point, at some time, I will go through the expansions, but not anytime soon.
It really just has to be the social aspect of MMOs that really get the people in there. They have their crew.
Only reason to play them, I would think.
Yeah.
And so
so when you hate humanity, like some of us.
Yes.
Not really.
No.
To some extent.
I do. But like, yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard when you're not a social person. And when you play, you tend to create a place of solitude to do that. The entire point of it for me is to kind of relax and get away from people from a little bit. Generally is the way I want to play games. And so then having to deal with people trolling or, you play fighting games in League of Legends, so you know what I'm talking about. I don't want that while I'm sitting down to play a game.
While
you're trying to relax or whatever.
I mean, imagine like if you're experiencing like Final Fantasy 7 for the first time and all of a sudden a player could come in grief, like walk up and kill Tifa as she's about to like save Cloud or something. Like, is that possible in these games? Like, are they able to be derailed by?
Not really. Because, the story cutscenes kind of happen. They'll sort of play, and as you're watching them, right, like you're not interacting with anyone else. It's almost like it kind of cuts away to an instance.
Okay.
And so like that just kind of plays out. But while you're running around questing or doing whatever, if someone just wanted to run around and just mess around with you, like certainly they could do that. And I mean, not that they would, unless you're a big streamer or something and someone's stream sniping you,
right?
Which does happen, I'm sure.
Oh, of course, yeah. I stream snipe people playing Third Strike sometimes, which is a bit different. It's just like I see some guy playing, I'm watching, I'm like, I could easily beat him, so I'll go on there.
So how would you get paired up with them though? Do they have a way for you to search someone out?
It's an open lobby. It's not like most fighting games where it's just like you hit like search and it just connects you with somebody.
Oh.
On Fightcade, which is where most of this takes place, it's just like an open lobby chat room. You see all the users on the right side. There's a big chat window, and you'll see people in game. And it's, usually anywhere from like a couple, I think it's grown to like a couple hundred people on at a time, which is enough for a fighting game because you only need one person to party. But back when I started and it was GGPO, like it was maybe like 50 people on at a time. And this was like back in 2010, 2009.
Yeah.
It's grown vastly. It's still dinky. But so anyways, you see someone streaming, you see their screen name, you just hop on and like, oh, there he's playing. Oh, I see when he's out of a game. I'm going to send him a challenge. And then you go in there, clean them up. And it's good it's good when it's like a YouTuber who's like a Street Fighter player.
They
but
think
like,
they're good.
It's not that they think they're good. Like usually they're pretty, like they know where they stand. And everyone else knows where they stand too. So like JM Crofts, he's a Street Fighter YouTuber. He's on there playing and I got to go smoke him up. It's just like, but no hard, but it's just like, that's the point. Like I streamed it a few times and I've had like some S rank players come in there and just trash me. And I'm just like that was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are negative attitudes and there are trolls, but they can only troll you if they win.
Right.
So,
just get good.
You just get good. But I could go into fighting games about that whole thing. That is a whole other topic in itself of getting good and how it's physically impossible to get better than someone who's just genetically.
There's a genetic ceiling to your fighting game prowess. There absolutely
has to be, because it's like in every scenario that happens in a fighting game, it's like rock, paper, scissors in 8 directions for every split second of the game. And at any time you'll think of how many answers for this scenario. And it's like if your answers for a scenario is like a circle around the scenario, a better player is just going to have a bigger circle around yours who thinks of more options and also remembers everything you've done, in the back of their mind. So it's crazy. Like,
so it's like they've through playing you have seen the circle on which you operate.
Yeah.
And so they can just reference their circle that are answers to all of those.
Yeah.
It's almost chess-like in that way, I guess.
You could say that because like usually the first 2 games, and this isn't for every player, but people around a moderate level of skill, they won't necessarily know who's better within the first 2 games because like the worst player could beat him just because the tendencies haven't been learned yet. And they can just, sneak in a couple things, but then it's only going to work for so long against someone better, and they start picking up the patterns, and then all of a sudden they can't win at all. And I've been on both sides of that coin where I remember, like, it usually goes matches of like 1st to 3 or 1st to 5, and I've had instances where like it was a 1st to 5, and I had lost every single game but the final fight until I picked up on this guy, and then I walked it all the way back and beat him just because like it finally took that long for me to like, I got him now.
Yeah.
And then like it wasn't even close at the end, but
they're not making adjustments
to
the adjustments you're making. And so they kind of keep making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
And you know how to answer.
It's like you just dealt with it for 5 rounds and you're remembering the whole time. And also like the skill ceiling between players, like you can feel like the most incredible player against, like you'll fight good players, but you'll still be better than them.
Yeah.
Players that could crush other people, but you're still better than them.
Yeah.
And you could crush them. And it makes it look like the level of almost like embarrassment you can see happen. It's like that movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which I just saw again for the first time in like 20 years.
It's a great movie.
It now with like more adult referencing on the nitty gritty of it. What a good movie! But the part I'm thinking of is I forget the character's name, but the princess girl who runs away and steals a sword.
Right.
She's in a restaurant trashing all these fighter guys, just like no problem, just dancing around them, mocking them the whole time. And then she comes up against Chow Yun-fat characters, Li Mubai, and he's just toying with her. And is exact same thing for a fighting game, like as far as the skill ceiling of how much you'll get embarrassed. Boy, you could look so flashy, you could know all these combos, but against a real OG, it's like fighting a wall with your fist. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Nuts. So have you done any like high level tournament play or anything like that in Third Strike?
No. I mean, they like stream some tournaments. I've played a couple of them. I know that I'm like, they have a ranking system by letter, and I'm like a B.
Yeah.
And the highest is S. And like a C is much better than a D. A B is much better than a C. An A is much better than a B, and S, and then I think S is the highest. And like my good friend Arthur out of Canada, he's an S rank player, and it's just he.
So when you guys play,
and I play him like maybe once a year, and like out of 30 games, I may be able to squeeze in a win once.
Wow.
And it's like, and when you get a win, it's like you only have to guess right in a fight maybe 5 times to do enough damage to beat him in a round.
Right.
But like just the amount they know, they're also the execution. Like when you're nervous, things that you can do on a dime, you can't do so easily anymore because you're struggling against them.
Yeah.
And the last time I played him, we played for like 2.5 hours straight. I think I won 3 times like in 100 games. And like, I'll go on there, I'll crush people, no problem. But it's incredible.
Then
there's no way there's no way I could compete with him, even if I were to. And I play it way more often than him because he's so busy, he works. I mean, he has a huge history of the game where he obviously
played for many.
But
years.
I've played it since 2008, so I have like 17 years experience playing the game off and on.
Wow!
And I still can't touch him.
That's crazy. That's a little bit like my experience with Smash Melee.
Oh yeah,
like there's a similar sort of just tier system where you're at this level, and anyone below that, like
free.
You just they can't do anything to you.
Yeah, it would be.
But on the next level, it's the same thing. You cannot. Nothing you do matters.
Yeah, you think you can surprise them, and they just know an answer for everything you do, and it's just like it feels so helpless.
I remember the first time I encountered that because I was definitely the best. Well, me and my friend Parker, Kaysen's brother, were probably the 2 best of our sort of local group that would play together. And so, like, he and I would kind of just toy or wreck people that we were in our circle.
Oh, yeah.
And the 2 of us would play each other, and we're kind of even.
Right.
Some days maybe he was better. Some days maybe I was better. Maybe he's better with this character. Or maybe I'm better with that character. Whatever.
You could have a competitive match.
It was competitive. We're on the same level. So I was working at a game store at the time, Game Crazy. They don't exist anymore. They were kind of like GameStop, but like way better than them at the time. And they were sort of a Hollywood Video affiliate. So at your local Hollywood Video movie rental store, they would have the Game Crazies attached to them.
Man, what a time.
What a time, right?
What a time.
So I was always renting games and getting them, at discounted prices and stuff. It was a great job. I did it for about 2 years when I was in my junior and senior year of high school. But anyway, there was a guy in there who I would play in Smash sometimes, and he was just so good. And I would try to adjust. I would go home and practice. I would like attempt to get better, like really try. And I would come back, and the dude would do something different that I had never seen before. And I'm like, how are you doing that? And I think the only time I ever beat him was when I was using my main, which was Marth in that game, and he decided to try out some new character he didn't, and he was just learning it.
Right.
And I beat him a couple times.
And it was probably a struggle.
And it was, I actually did pretty good. And so he was not doing great, like with that character. But I came back the next time we had a shift together. He played me with that character, and I didn't get one stock on him. Like that's how good he was. And it was just another level. And I had no idea how he was doing that. I came to learn years later about all of the unintentional kind of like mechanics that are in the game, like the cancel where you cancel the roll or like the dodge, and you kind of slide across the ground.
Dashing,
Wave dashing is what it's called. I didn't know any of those tricks, right? I never randomly encountered those, but the elite level players had learned that stuff and were then utilizing it and using it to like beat you.
Oh yeah.
And so like, how is he doing this stuff? Like that's so crazy. Anyway, he was one of those level players, right?
Yeah.
And so they had a tournament at the Game Crazy one time, and my buddy Parker happened to be in town. I was like, we're gonna do the 2-on-2 tournament together. I'm going to compete in the single one because whatever, I like it, but I don't expect to win because I'm sure he'll be in that.
Yeah.
But no, we went in together, and I thought for sure we were going to win in the, what they call it, doubles, the doubles tournament. We didn't get past, I think, the second round.
Oh,
People were just so much better than us. But like from our world, our
your bubble
sphere of influence, we were the best,
right?
And so
it's a big world out there.
That's I understand what you're saying. It's like there's just another tier that no matter how hard you try, there's almost just no way you're getting there.
Yeah,
unless you're going to play nothing but Smash the rest of your life, which I was definitely not going to do.
No, it's too frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you've experienced exactly what I mean. It's a total parallel.
Yeah.
As far as the experience of just a wall of difficulty, an answer for everything you do. Every scenario you think you're like, okay, well, I haven't done this yet, and there he is already.
Yeah.
Damn you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And with characters that aren't good.
Right.
Like the lowest tier, like the characters that everyone says sucks in the game.
Yeah.
He picks that. And you're like, there's no way you're beating me with that character. Yeah. And then next time you see him, you can't even get one stock on him. He's just wrecking you with the worst character in the game. Like that's how freaking good this guy was. I don't know if he ended up ever competing in like an Evo tournament or anything, but I'm sure he could have done it to some degree. I don't know what happened to the guy, honestly, but anyway, yeah, it's crazy. It kind of the same thing happened to me in basketball too. So for the longest time growing up, I was far and away the best basketball player I knew personally.
You're pretty tall up close, by the way. I'm 6 foot and Mike's above me, and I'm just like, damn, all right.
So, I get up into high school, and that's when like athletically separation really starts to happen. You know what I mean? It's like guys are starting to really grow tall, get a lot faster, get a lot stronger. And I was kind of a late bloomer in some ways and was definitely not as strong in the gym as some of these guys were. Real rail skinny. And so these guys are just turning into men while I'm still a little boy, basically. So athletically, I'm at a huge disadvantage. But then on top of that, I'd get into these summer leagues where you have guys that are, kind of year round in different, programs and stuff. And that's kind of really the only path into the NBA now is if you get into those kinds of things from a young age.
It's a lifelong
and
journey.
You have a coach with you all the time, like working on your form, working on your footwork, working you through drills. Unless you're just freakishly tall and freakishly athletic, the only way you're going to like get on that level to compete like that is to basically be year round in some kind of super competitive program.
There's this school near where I live called IMG Academy.
Yeah.
And a year's tuition, and they have like all these programs for different sports, but a year's tuition there is over 6 figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and they're where I work, this is a grocery chain. one of the locations is right by that school, and you constantly see these like 6 foot plus freaks just walk in, like they look, just like perfect specimens of athlete just walk into our fruit department and go for it. It's just like, man, I feel so inadequate.
that was when I realized, that was the first time when the reality hit me. You're not going to play in the NBA. You're not even close.
You're lucky you get double A.
I was in a summer league, one of those types of leagues, and I was on a team that, they have certain teams with certain guys that have been playing they've been playing with each other for a long time. So they all have a team and they form that team and they stick with each other for years. And so I was on one of the expansion sort of like teams in this league of guys who had never played together, did not belong in that league at all athletically. And we would get blown out by 70 points every game. And it's just like, you bring the ball up the court, you can't even like get a pass off before it's intercepted or the guy loses it or he just takes from him. And then they're just running down the court, just slamming every single play. And these dudes are up there, their heads are at the level of the rim.
Yeah.
They're going between the legs when they jam. And, I could barely, grab the rim myself. And so it's like, I have hit a genetic ceiling here to which I just can't compete with these people. I can't. They're way taller than me.
Yeah.
I'm 6'2". I'm not short. But in basketball terms, that's pretty short.
Yeah, you're on the bottom.
There are guys out here who are 6'7", 6'8", 225, 230. I was at that time in high school, generously 140.
Man, well, you're a stick. Yeah.
And so, like, any size I even had was useless because they're 100 pounds, like twice my weight. They're just throwing me around, backing me down, and I had no chance.
Yeah,
and that was when I realized, like, all of this time, because I played basketball every single day of my life for at least 3 hours a day from the time I was probably 5 until I was 17. And
that is a long time when you're young.
That
is your identity.
I had developed incredible skills like footwork, ball handling, shooting. I could shoot. I was really, really good.
You were wired for it at that point.
I was athletically just absolutely pathetically inferior. And there was just nothing that could happen that would have ever put me on that same level. Like, maybe I could have played off the bench at some small college, community college or something. But there was just no chance. And that's the reality of this hit me at age 17. I was like,
sad.
Oh my God. Like, I put in almost all of my life into thinking that I could do something with this.
Right.
And I just can't. There's no way. That's kind of the same thing you're talking about.
When I was 13, I played one season of basketball. And I remember at a practice, we had a exhibition game against a girls' team, and they were like 3 years older than us, and they crushed us. Like, they're older than us, they're more mature than us, they're faster than us, and basically what you described, but just just women, bodying us, and like.
Same thing happened to me too.
Sad.
Because I had a buddy, I had a friend, and his older sister was, I think, 3 years older than me. She was real into sports and stuff. I actually had a huge crush on her, particularly because of that. She was like a really good basketball player. So anyway, I was probably 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, and I'd go out and like play one-on-one with her, and she's just like you're saying, just bodying me every time. And it's like, oh, this girl's beating me. I can't let that happen. I'd try again. It's just never.
That's good practice, though. I mean, like, if you fought somebody really tough, then when you're playing someone within your own caliber, it's just like you're free.
So anyway, there's definitely a genetic ceiling that I hit at that time. It was a tough pill to swallow, but that's
Don't
when
give
I
up
quit.
on your dreams,
that's
kids.
when I quit playing basketball. Is right there. I have only since then, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've actually gone and played basketball just at a rec center or a gym with other people.
Oh, man.
And the last time I did it was last week, but I hadn't done it in 15 years.
What did that feel like?
I'm 38 now. I would have been 23 at the last time that I actually seriously tried to play basketball. And I played one game. I basically have no feel for the game anymore. So like my shot is really long because my body is totally different.
No muscle memory anymore.
No, it's all gone. And so I wasn't even shooting the ball other than, layups and stuff at the basket. Other than that, I was just kind of just a body on the floor to give them enough players to play their 3-on-3 game they wanted to play. But the part that really sucked was that I could not walk the next day. There was some ligament or something in my knee that I didn't feel while I was playing. But like the next day was so sore and so bad, I was like, yeah, I guess that's because I'm 38. This is why NBA players generally, unless you're LeBron James, you don't make it to 40. Like your body just falls apart. Not that I've been doing much to take care of myself in the way that you should, but
right. I mean, they got like a doctor's team surrounding them.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's true.
And I eat like garbage and as evidenced by today, pizza and cookies. But
I mean, you're eating like garbage. I mean, regular fitness, but I mean, your ability to heal.
Yeah,
like
it goes way down.
I have like this muscle tear in my chest, which gives me chest pains. Like sporadically, it'll go away for a few months and then come back, and I feel like I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah, I had in this shoulder, it was the rotator cuff injury is torn, and I didn't recover from that for at least 2 years. Like it really affected just even my ability to like lift weights and stuff like that. Like for 2 years, basically, I couldn't lift more than like 150 pounds on the bench, not because I wasn't strong enough, but because it would just re-aggravate that again and again and again and again and again and again. And so it took forever to, rehab from that. And it's like, dude, why is this taking so long? This would not have happened when I was in my 20s. Like, what happened to me,
when you experience it is for real, you find out how not durable you are.
No.
Or you see somebody in a movie take a big hit and get back up, and
it's
you're just like
that would never.
That's
happen.
like a month long in bed, right?
That
you just
would never
experience.
happen.
Yeah.
I went on. They had one of the malls in the South Utah Valley. We went to a mall and they had just like a fair out there, like a carnival kind of thing. But it was just like. It was kind of sketchy a little bit. Weren't really sure how safe those rides actually were. But I got on one that was kind of like one that spins around, but it went so fast, the G-forces were like pushing me into kind of like a sharp edge on like the carriage thing that we're in. And I'm pretty sure it broke my rib because like I could not breathe, like take a full breath or sleep on that side or anything for like 2 months.
Wow.
It like took forever to recover from that.
Oh my God.
And so I'm never, anytime I see one of those little carnival fair traveling
it's like
things,
a bad idea.
I'm not going on those rides. Just,
Yeah, I remember last time I went to a fair and it was like a little cart thing that spins you around in a small circle. And I think I kind of did to myself. I was like pushing against the floor of it, trying to keep my back up straight so I didn't like bang my head. I don't know why. It was just uncomfortable. And the next day I was limping for a few days. I'm just like, man, that ride like really messed me up.
Yeah.
It's
once you cross, I want to say for me, it was somewhere around like 33, 34. Right around that age, it was like, I'm just not recovering the way I used to be able to. Even just sleep-wise, like just never wake up feeling rested. It just always kind of not having, the tank never feels full again.
And if I stay in bed too long, I get a headache.
Yeah, something's not quite right with my body at all times. I'm just never firing on all cylinders, never quite feeling 100%.
This is getting the most depressing episode. This is what I bring to the channel.
it's like an electric car battery, right? Like batteries in general.
Oh yeah, it's never going to be at its peak.
They over time you're not getting that 100% charge anymore. So like the car's range actually kind of goes down over time because the batteries, they don't ever hold that full charge again once you recharge them over and over and over again. That's kind of what it feels like to be 35 plus. So I was at my friend's birthday yesterday. She turned 30. And she was like, I want advice from all of you 30 plus people about the 30s. And I was like, your battery is about to stop.
Stay exercising, but healthily.
Take it slow.
Yeah.
Make sure you get enough sleep. I know that she in particular, her schedule's so insane. She has 3 jobs. She's in school studying. She's going to go to a master's program next year. She 2 of those are like her own business, and then she has like another job. And she's always like doing events and parties and just socializing. It's just like the thought of that schedule just makes me want to freaking hang myself.
Oh, no. It's like I couldn't.
And so I was like, look, listen, I know that you in particular are like 100% like full steam ahead, always running and doing something, but like that's going to catch up with you if you keep that up the next few years. So learn how to prioritize, take care of yourself, because it's not going to feel good if you keep trying to go at that speed much longer. That's my experience.
Yeah. You age about as well as that game did. Just bring it full circle.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for this.
You're very welcome.
I think this is amazing. I freaking loved these games. And I never had the physical copy of this. I still think I have my physical copy of Rebel Assault 2 downstairs, but I did not have this one. So definitely going to install that and play it. But it was good sitting down, chatting with you.
Yeah,
likewise. It was good to have you over.
This is an honor being here.
Yeah.
Kason, thank you for letting me borrow your spot, sir. Send you my best.
It looks a lot different in person than it does through the camera lens.
Yeah.
It's kind of dinky, and I've got a bunch of random stuff all over the place.
Honestly, it's totally badass, though. For those you should be jealous of me, and I hope you are. But no, it's very smartly executed. Like, I mean, the fact you have that dampening cloth on the table, and
I got dampening cloths everywhere. I've got
curtains,
panels, curtains, all kinds of things
and stuff. These are nice cameras too, man.
Yeah, the cameras are nice. Thank you, patrons. The patrons made it possible for get these cameras for us to get these. Yes, thank you for making that possible. The cameras we were on before, it was so impossible to match skin tones between them. I don't know why, but like these right out of the freaking package.
What were you
never ever touch them? So we had Panasonic GH5s and a GH4, and the GH5s, even though they're the same camera, even on the same settings, the skin tones were freaking different.
Wow,
drove me nuts.
Absolutely.
Nuts. It's just like I had to have a different setting for each camera, and with these, it was just next level.
Shame on you, Panasonic.
I know, seriously.
I was just thinking about trading up to a Lumix S1 II.
Oh yeah.
Because
their new cameras might be better. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't have to do any multicam anything. It's just the stabilization.
I love the stabilization on them.
Yeah. Oh my in the Sony, I have an A7 III, and it's good for stills. For video, it sucks.
Yeah.
My Olympus for video is phenomenal, even though it's from 2016. But apparently, the Lumix full frames have caught up to where they were on full frame. And I'm just thinking, like, might be good for the B-roll.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I loved shooting on them for a number of reasons. Stabilization was a huge part of it. These Blackmagic cameras do not have internal stabilization.
I mean, these are cinema cameras, really. Like they're meant to sit or be on a rig.
Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to put them on a nice steady cam or whatever. But that's the only qualm I have with these is the lack of internal stabilization. Because especially the kind of shooting I do for my work, I'm often handheld.
What are you using at work?
So at work we have Canon. So we have the Canon, the 80C, I think, which is like their brand new, or is it the
R5C?
No. The R5C was the last model we had.
Okay.
Their brand new 80C, I think, is what it is.
I never heard of that.
So it doesn't double. So it doesn't do photo and video. It does video only. So it's a video only.
Is it
camera.
A Super 35 or a full frame?
Full frame.
Okay. And it's not like the C300 in that line, or?
I think it might be in the same line, but I think it's the C80 or 80C or something. I'll freaking pull it up right here.
Tell us, Gerald.
6K full frame. This baby.
Huh. C80, sir.
Oh, C80.
I mean,
I'm dyslexic.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
C80. Yeah, it's good. And it has that internal stabilization. Same with the R5C, which is the other model that I have been using for the last few years.
Do you have to shoot raw at work? Or do you just
no.
This is such a pain in the ass.
Never freaking worth
I'm glad you agree.
Never worth it. Not once ever has it been worth shooting in raw.
Never. You don't want to grade it. It's people like nitpick, like, oh, it shoots raw, the highlight recovery. It's just like, get it right. Get it good enough.
Exactly.
Nobody cares.
Expose correctly when you shoot the damn thing.
Yeah. So, you do not want to edit that. You give yourself 5-6 hours more work every time you do that. You eat up that much hard drive space. Everything runs slower.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah.
And also, like, you shoot in that mode, and then all of a sudden the autofocus lacks now trying to shoot it. And, you take compromises all over the place. But, man, those highlights, they recovered. Yeah,
it's the same thing with people who argue about shooting in log. And it's like this exceptionally flat color profile. We're like, well, you have so much room to... But it's like, when you're looking at that stuff and you think you're, like, cranking contrast on that, and then you actually compare it to something that looks good, it's like, oh, wow. I actually have to like double or sometimes triple stack.
Yeah, the contrast adjustment filter.
Because I thought I maxed it out, but it's still just not even close. It's like it looks so flat still. You're just adding way more work that you don't need to have by just exposing it correctly and shooting on the, whatever.
Shoot 8-bit. Yeah. Get a good exposure.
If you have a good LUT and you expose the thing right, it's going to look great. You have minimal work color-wise, and you'll edit way faster. Like, that's the way I like to roll. So, I don't like shooting in log.
Enough to work on as it is.
Yeah, I don't like shooting in log. I don't like shooting in raw. So, just give me the 8-bit is fine. Yeah. 10-bit, okay, I guess.
10-bit's nice, but fine. As long as the computer doesn't choke on it.
Yes.
Because the first time I got a GH5, I'm like, oh man, shoots 10-bit. Couldn't edit anything.
Yeah, you can't play it back. You have to like make proxies.
Yeah,
in order to edit anything.
And then when you compare it side by side, you're on an 8-bit monitor, dumbass. Like, well, you don't even see it. It's like you can't even tell. Oh, there's the gradients in the blue for a shot that's up there for 3 seconds.
Shooting in 6K, and then you're editing it on a 1080p monitor.
Yeah, right. It's like
it's all pointless.
I could go on.
Anyway. That's
our brief camera crash.
Stuff that I have to think about tomorrow when I go into work. But thanks for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining. Thank you, Paul, for coming in. Thank you for the gift.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching for as long as you have and for supporting. Appreciate you. It's been a good time.
Thank you for having me. I mean, hey, I'm just like y'all out there. I'm tuned in for every episode. You guys do a phenomenal job. Yeah. Always waiting for the next thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys next time. Peace.